All right, I've got the agenda open, and if it's all right with everybody, I'm going to call this meeting of the Urbana Public Television Commission to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Polk.
Present.
Commissioner Inskeep.
Present.
Chair Folk.
Present.
Commissioner Fuller. And Commissioner Schultz and Commissioner Sender also said, notified me they would not be able to attend today. So we currently do not have a quorum.
Okay, moving forward anyway, to approval of the minutes, and then correspondence. Was there any correspondence?
There's no correspondence to the commission at this time.
Okay, staff report. I cannot hear you now.
Sorry, I muted myself. I'm going to share my screen here for the staff report. I assume you all are seeing this.
Yes.
All right, I want to begin at touching on a couple of staff transitions over the last few months. Kevin Lau, who you can see here in the picture, his last official day at UPTV was March 27th. He's played a huge role in a variety of productions at Urbana Public Television since he was hired as a camera operator back in October 2018. Also, I want to mention Ethan Young. Ethan Young has served as UPTV's production assistant since September 2017 and has been responsible for most of our public access studio operations during that time. Ethan's last official day at UPTV was April 1st. He hopes to move to Vietnam to teach ESL courses. Kevin's last day was March 27th. So we wish both Ethan and Kevin the best of luck. Earlier this month, we hired 2 new camera operators. We're happy to welcome Brianna Gaspar and Andrew Wayner to the production team at UPTV, and they got started last week, and also they were in the office this week running city board and commission meetings. So we're happy to have them on board. I also want to take a minute to thank Jake Schumacher, the UPTV program coordinator, for his work during this time. He's been working at home for the last few months and scheduling everything and taking care of all of his duties just as he would as if he were here in the office. So I appreciate him working at home and continuing his functions. And then I also want to give a shout out to Austin Pontius. Austin has been working every Monday and Tuesday coming into UPTV through the pandemic. He's responsible for getting our Urbana City Council meetings on the air, as well as the Board of Education meetings, the Park District Board meetings, and certainly with the stay-at-home order in place and them not meeting in person and meeting virtually, it's really important that we're able to get that video and that information out to the public. And I appreciate Austin coming into work, even though, you know, what the city has done is we have COVID pay that, you know, if for some reason they don't feel comfortable or they're not able to perform their tasks from home, they don't necessarily have to report to work, and Austin would still get paid for that. But and I gave him that option, and he still came in. So I appreciate Austin Pontius's help over the last few months. University of Illinois senior Tomi Olowu has interned with us during the first half of the spring semester. Obviously, that internship was cut short. She worked on productions of WPGU's Illini Drive, the City of Urbana's It's All About You talk show, and promotional videos for our new public access TV shows. Congratulations to Andrew Scolari on winning an Excellence Award at the Best of the Midwest Media Fest for the video production of Rollin' Illini. This show is produced in collaboration with WPGU, which is the student-run radio station at the U of I. It's hosted by U of I students Josh Joins, Miles Hill, and Avery Schaefer. So congratulations to Andrew. He goes and films that every Friday evening during the school year and then shows up at UPTV on Saturdays to edit that, and we get that on YouTube and on the air at UPTV. So congratulations, Andrew. The city was also recognized with 5 awards of our own. I plan to attend the Best of the Midwest Media Fest Awards Banquet in Milwaukee to accept the awards. The awards banquet was originally scheduled for May 14th in Milwaukee. It's been pushed back to October 1st. It coincides with the ACM Midwest Regional Conference. So I plan, as of right now, to make the trip to Milwaukee for both the conference and the awards banquet. Urbana School District 116 did a fantastic job at recognizing their seniors this year. They weren't able to hold a traditional graduation ceremony, as no one around the area was. But their Director of Marketing and Communications, Cameron Williams, produced the virtual graduation ceremony, and he did all this. This was the first time in many years that I wasn't involved in the production. We made sure that it got on air on UPTV, but Cameron spent a lot of hours in 1 week editing that for UPTV. This aired on UPTV on Saturday, May 23rd at 11 o'clock a.m., which was the previously scheduled graduation date. We had 417 simultaneous viewers tune into our live stream. That's quite a bit for our live stream, also considering that, they could have watched on YouTube or on Facebook, and also just traditional broadcast television on UPTV. So that was a good number to have as everyone celebrated their graduate. Kevin Erlinger with the Urbana School District did a fantastic job producing a virtual 8th grade promotion ceremony for Urbana Middle School. I appreciate Cameron and Kevin's efforts and the time they spent producing both of these. Looking at our most popular YouTube video this past quarter, a special shout out to Elizabeth Hess, who approached UPTV early on in March, and she has been interviewing Julie Pride every week for a coronavirus COVID-19 update. And these are really great informational spots that are all about 20 minutes long or so, but the one from March 16th had over 2,000 views. This is something that I think we can, they've filmed 15 of these now, and I think they're continuing to film these until the pandemic is over, or at least things get a little bit more back to normal. I think we can look back at these in 20 years and, they're on archive.org and they're on YouTube right now, but we'll be able to kind of go week from week to see how the pandemic not just affected the nation and the world, but specifically here in Champaign-Urbana. And Julie Pride's just been a wonderful source through all of that. Our most popular tweet over the last quarter was us sharing a Facebook video. There's a bunch of community organizations and leaders got together to form the Joint Information Center, and we're producing videos on COVID-19 and interviewing a number of people. And Patrick Wade, who works for the University of Illinois Police Department, did a number of those interviews, and we shared one there that reached over 2,700 people. We also aired all of those videos on UPTV. And our most popular Facebook post was from an interview that you can see that one, the previous image I showed for our most popular YouTube video, we were still in the studio on March 16th. But since that time, we've switched to doing interviews on Zoom. So you can see that Julie Pride's in her office there. And we shared a clip from one of the interviews where she demonstrated how to wear a mask properly. So that reached over 3,800 people. That's all I have under staff report at this time.
Great work, staff.
Yes.
Way to adapt. Thank you.
Sorry, just a minute. All right. Is there any audience participation facility here?
There's currently no audience. We are the only 4 people on the Zoom session, so no audience participation. And checking the email that we gave out in the agenda, I did not receive any audience participation either at this point.
Okay, then moving on to, do we have any unfinished business, or does the fact that that's blank mean we don't?
Since it's blank, we do not have any unfinished business.
Okay, I'm going to turn my video off so that I don't embarrass myself. Cooking lunch. I guess I just did. So, moving on to the new business.
Yeah, so the first item under new business, I just wanted to touch on that there's still 2 open seats on the UPTV commission. These have been vacant for quite some time. There is a residency requirement that you live within the city of Urbana limits, but moving forward, I really want to work on filling these seats, hopefully within the next quarter. So when we meet again in September, we will have both new commission members on. So if you know of anyone or even a contact that might know of some people who might be interested in joining the UPTV commission, please send them my way and I can point them in the office of the mayor's office who handles the appointments for boards and commissions. But I think you all, have been on the board and the commission long enough to where you have an understanding of what business we handle. You're very familiar with UPTV and the community. So if any of you have a sense of someone who would fit in nicely and be interested in volunteering their time, let me know and I'll reach out to them and I'll certainly appreciate that. That's all I had under item A, new business. I just wanted to vocalize that to you, that we do still have 2 UPTV commission seats open to fill.
And can you remind me, did we change the rules so that the quorum is not based on total members, but filled seats? Or is that still based on total numbers?
It's filled seats. So if we had 4 people, it would be a quorum currently because there's 7 filled seats. Obviously, if we were to, there's 6 filled seats. So 4 would be 6. And then, if we do get the other 2, we would start needing at least 5 for a quorum.
Okay. Then moving on to the budget.
Yeah, I wanted to present the UPTV budget for next fiscal year. The City Council met on this past Wednesday, June the 10th, and the mayor and the financial staff and the city administrator presented the proposed budget for 2021, which begins July 1st. The council meeting on June 22nd will be where they will approve that budget, or if there's any changes to the budget, amend that budget at the time. But I'm going to share my screen once again and bring back up my PowerPoint. And I have some Here we are. So staffing for next year's budget includes 1 full-time employee and the UPTV station manager, which is currently held by me. We also have the budget for a 0.45 time production assistant. That equals 18 hours a week. That is a position that is currently unfilled, but we would be looking to fill. The production assistant duties are still to be determined, but for the most part, they would be handling the production of public access programs and government access programs and anything in the studio and editing, similar to what we've seen the production assistant handle in the past with a few more hours each week. They might also be given some of the duties of the program coordinator. As you can see, the program coordinator not in the budget for next year. We do have 0.225 time camera operators. This is our normal allotment of camera operators. We have 5 part-time camera operators that share the duties of operating cameras for city meetings in the evenings. But that is what our staff budget looks like for next year as far as what staff positions we will have beginning July 1. Does anyone have any questions about the UPTV budget?
So what does it mean for public access, Jason?
Yeah, so the city's going to continue to provide public access service, and we're going to do our best to, continue to serve all of our members in a, scenario and situation that they're used to being served in. I do want to point out that we are obviously losing the program coordinator, which has worked up to 18 hours a week this past year. looking at the timesheets and everything, usually averaging about 14 hours a week. The program coordinator handled all the scheduling for UPTV, both government education and also public access, as well as downloading some outside programming, public access programs for UPTV. That position has been eliminated. The duties of that position will be assumed by the station manager and, as I mentioned, some of those by the production assistant. But as far as members of the public coming in to produce their television shows, that will still be a service that we provide, thanks to the production assistant. That will also, as far as members producing stuff on their own, sending us links to download, that will also be a service we continue to provide. So we'll continue to provide public access service, but I ask, obviously keep in mind that even though this is a larger amount and more hours than we've ever had a production assistant before, also keep in mind that we're losing a program coordinator. What that actually means as far as, we're going to have to, trim this program or look at these services, I think we'll have a much better understanding once we see the field of applicants for the production assistant. And once they actually, start here at the city, we'll have a better understanding of what all services we can continue to provide. With that said, I've been on staff here for 13 years now and seen a number of different transitions with staff and staff duties. And, I think during that time, we've maintained a certain level of service and satisfaction that I think we can continue to maintain with this staffing structure next year. I'll also point out that this past year, even though Ethan Young was the production assistant, he had another full-time job. So he was only actually working about 6 hours a week. And then we had 2 camera operators that would divide up the other hours. I think having one production assistant here will we'll be able to deliver a more consistent product and service level, both to our viewers that watch UPTV and to our public access members that come here and produce their shows at the UPTV studio.
All right, any other?
And does public access, is it going to switch to another station?
There are currently no plans to switch public access to another channel. We do still have the 5th channel that this is both the cities, Champaign and Urbana, can request to operate under the current franchise agreements with i3 Broadband and Comcast. But at this time, we are not looking to switch. So, starting in July 1st, you might see a few changes on the channel. Obviously we have public access programs and government access programs that come and go, but I don't envision a large change. We'll still continue to have all 3 aspects, public, education, and government, on the same channel, as people have known it to be for years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. That sounds great. Thank you for shepherding that through. Sounds like we will see even better things than in the past. So it's cool that we managed to come out of this with a situation where we can improve the product, as you say, that we are providing. I don't know that it's relevant here, but would you care to talk about how the video, the use of video for meetings and for interviews and that kind of thing, how that has changed your guys' job, and whether you think it's been a change that will be maintained after after people are able to congregate again more freely, or whether you think that will be something that'll go away at that time because it is more comfortable to sit down with people.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I want to give a shout out to Chike Coleman and Sanford Hess. They host Real Reviews, the movie review show, and Chike's been hosting that for over 10 years now on UPTV. And they usually would do this about once a month or so, but since the pandemic, they both have a little bit more time to watch movies, and they use Zoom, and they use a virtual background of movie theater seats. And if you haven't seen it, you can check it out on our YouTube, but I think it looks better than when they would come in here and produce it. And they're doing more. So I hope that they continue to do that at least. You know, it certainly gives us options. One thing that we've seen through this pandemic is people do have a little bit more time. We've seen 2 of our shows that were here for a number of years and then kind of faded away. They've actually come back. Donna Jones started producing Be You Say Bye again. And she has usually 4 other people with her because, you know, it's a little bit more convenient for people to sit at home in their living room and just hold up their phone and have a conversation with video than it is to, okay, I've got to drive across town to go to UPTV at this specific time. And I've got to have someone, you know, to watch my kids or, you know, take care of my dog or whatever else, other things that they have to take care of. So will that, you know, that can certainly be an option for members if we want to move forward with, hey, you can come into the studio, or we still have, you know, Zoom available, or any other. You know, there's a number of our members never came into the studio. There's some members I've never even met. I mean, they produce their video on their own with their own equipment. They send me the link, I download it, I schedule it, and we're all happy. I do want to also give a shout out to Rose Bowl, the Rose Bowl Tavern in downtown Urbana. They started a media company, RBTV, once the pandemic started, and they've been hosting live local music at the Rose Bowl in downtown Urbana. You can't go there physically, obviously. It's closed to the public, but they've been streaming it on Facebook as well as YouTube, and I contacted Charlie at Rose Bowl, and we've actually been re-airing those on UPTV. So that's another instance of they weren't even producing video before. But now they do, and I hope that's something that they'll continue with. It's pretty good production value as well, so they're either real technically sound themselves or they have someone else technically sound helping them out. Yeah, I hope that, you know, I hope things like that continue. Obviously, we've been doing a lot of meeting coverage using Zoom. That's because of the suspension of the Opens Meetings Act. Once, you know, the OMA is enforced again, we will have to still physically meet in person. But it might, you know, it might open up some things for, oh, a commissioner can't make a meeting, but hey, they've used Zoom for the last 3 months. So now it's easy for them to use Zoom and just remote in, but we always will have to have a quorum to follow OMA guidelines.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the OMA gets, as soon as all the public commissions realize that they will have to go back to the old ways, I bet we'll see an amendment to the OMA to allow this kind of stuff. Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything you wanted to touch on the equipment purchases?
Well, I just wanted to touch on the equipment purchase process in general. We started sharing these equipment purchases with you, maybe 3 or 4 years ago at the request of Durrell Cruz, who was a commissioner at the time. Just, you know, he wanted to get a better sense of how we were spending money. We tend to report those after we've spent the money, which is perfectly fine, and I'm happy to continue doing that. But I also think that what we might want to start doing at all of our June meetings, so every year at June, is give you a sense of what we plan to purchase over the next fiscal year, just so you have a little bit of idea. And obviously, if anything changes from that, as things tend to change, budget amendments, or, oh, we were looking at this piece of equipment, but the piece of equipment we still have functions fine, so now we're going to take that money and spend it on another piece of equipment. But I wanted to share, I'll share my screen again just to give you an idea of what we're planning for next fiscal year. And again, this will probably change a little bit as it does from year to year. But this gives you an idea of what we have scheduled to replace. We have a full-size equipment rack. This is the rack in the UPTV office and control room that holds all of our equipment, broadcast servers, video production switchers, things of that nature. We've had the same one in here since 1997. I know it still functions, right? It's not, they make them to last, but there's a lot of things that have been enhanced on equipment rack over the last 23 years. So we plan to purchase a full-size equipment rack that will house all of UPTV's equipment. We're also getting a desktop equipment rack. This will be a little bit better ergonomically for our camera operators. Right now, they kind of have to lean back to reach the audio mixer for council meetings and things. And now they will be able just to do it, and it'll be right in front of them. The dais monitors are around the dais where the council sit and where you sit when you're in the council chambers. Those are still set up for 4:3 standard definition. We're going to get new 16:9 widescreen monitors in there, and it will improve that quite a bit. We have some televisions to replace here in the UPTV studio and control room. XLR audio boxes, those are just the small audio boxes that hook up to our cameras that allow us to take feeds from PA systems and audio mixers and things of that. Those are just due up for replacement. We're replacing a video camera, one of our public access video cameras. And again, these are all normally scheduled replacement. It's not that one broke or we dropped one or anything like that. But, you know, equipment, wear and tear on equipment tends to happen, as well as equipment improves. So we're not necessarily going to buy the same model that we bought 5 years ago. We're going to look to see what's the latest and greatest and how we can utilize that and new features that they might have out there. We're replacing some tripods, and we're also purchasing a podcast set. The podcast setup, you know, we'll kind of base that on staff time and community interests. If we want to do podcasts for the public, as many community access centers do, but we're also going to use that set just for basic voiceovers. We've never really had a more professional style microphone for voiceovers that we'll do for a number of city features and public access features, and that also gives us that opportunity as well. Does anyone have any questions on this specific equipment replacement schedule, or just the idea in general of, hey, I'm going to report this in June now, just so you have a better understanding of what we're preparing for the next fiscal year?
Looks good. That's exciting, the podcast setup.
Yeah, I think it will, and certainly we understand that we have two great community access radio stations in town, in WRFU and WEFT, which we work with both of them. But, you know, just, you know, I go to all these conferences and everything, and everyone's like, oh, you know, we have a podcast set up now. We have a podcast set up. So I just want to make sure that people understand that that's available to them as well. And it could also, you know, present opportunity to where we take the podcasts we are, you know, producing here and share those with WEFT and WRFU in a similar fashion that, you know, we go and film video versions of their radio shows in the Prairie Monk and WEF sessions and things of that nature. Just kind of builds on that community partnership a little bit more.
That's great.
So I definitely prefer the once a year kind of thing. And in fact, I would go so far as to say, instead of worrying about bringing it up on a quarterly basis when something changes, it would almost be better for me if in June you present what your plan is and what your deviations from the previous plan were, just as one lump. And there's one additional categorization that I think I would find useful, much more useful than knowing the specific details of the hardware you're purchasing. For me, is to know whether this is targeted at all three segments of the P, E, and G, or one or the other, or the others.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to provide this every year during the June meeting, and also I can definitely list out what specific access component this is geared towards.
So on the topic of reporting, well, I guess we can close this item and move on to commissioners' comments. Are there any comments from commissioners?
All good.
Hearing none, I will ask the questions to staff and say, what reporting does UPTV do to the City Council in general? I just want to make sure that we have an opportunity to highlight you guys' great work and the work that we feel that this station does for the community, and for me to know when that happens so that I can show up and try it.
Yeah, so in the past, we haven't provided an annual report, or presentation to the council. I know the Cable Commission used to provide an annual report, a paper copied report to the council, and that's something that I would like to start providing, either whether it be just the paper form so they can understand the numbers and what all services we provide and things of that nature. Obviously, I provided this commission with the PEG hours, and we'll have those PEG hours once again, just as far as, here's how many local public access programs were produced, government access programs, as well as maybe some of the highlights, the award that Andrew won and things of that. Perhaps I'll talk with city administration. I know the public arts program, or the arts and culture program, which is somewhat comparative to UPTV, that it's you can go across, and many cities might not have that function in that program, but it's something that Urbana feels is important enough to offer their residents, and the residents want that. They usually go to council and provide an annual report, so that might be something that we can look into doing as well.
Sounds good. Yeah, I would encourage that, just as a way to make sure that the public and the council knows what their money is going towards. All right, I guess if that's all for me, then I'm the only commissioner who's making comments, so I will say we reached the end of the agenda, and so I'll adjourn this meeting.